Hey everybody, welcome back to another Dream Theater harmonic analysis video. Welcome to the Hollow Years. Kind of a nice tune, slightly acoustic, slightly poppy, but still maintains that integrity that only Dream Theater can supply. Alright guys, so that is the Hollow Years intro. We're in the key of D minor, standard tuning. We have a D minor as the 1 chord. We have an F major chord as the 3 chord. We have the G minor as the 4. And then we have an A7 as the 5. So coming from the D harmonic minor version with that A7. And then we also have another round where we're going to end that progression on a B flat major, which is the 6 chord. So in D minor, it's essentially a 1 3 4 5 1 3 4 5 1 5 6 for what it's worth. Going on to the verse, let's give you a little bit of an audio introduction to the verse here. Good stuff. All right, so essentially what we're doing here is we got the D minor again as the 1, the F is the 3, the G minor is the 4, then we bring in the B flat as the 6, and then we're doing a C sus, which is the 7, into the D minor as the 1. And from what I can tell, that's pretty much it. That section of the verse does end with a B flat as the 6, C as the 7, and then A7 as the 5. Here's the end of the verse into the chorus. A7, back on D minor, B flat, C, A7. So it's a 1, 6, 7, 5. Good stuff, good stuff. Not too adventurous. For the second verse, things change up a little bit. Instead of coming in on the 1 chord D minor, they bring it in on the F, which is the 3 chord in D minor. And what's really interesting about that is D minor and F major are relative keys, meaning that if you were to write out D minor on screen, as I probably already have, and you go to that 3rd note F and replay the scale, you get F major. So essentially both D minor and F major use the same exact notes but a different starting point. So for the verse, we're doing what I like to consider a little bit of modulation to the relative major F major, having already spent the whole song up to this point in D minor. So let's just hear that transition. We're going to leave the typical D minor progression. Here's your B flat, moving it up to C. Now instead of resolving to D, we go to F. B flat, C. So it's essentially like a 1 4 5 in F major. Here's the C. Now they're going to throw in the D minor 7 as the 6. F is the 1, B flat is the 4, C is the 5, A7 as the 5 and D, and then it goes back to D. So a seamless transition from D minor to F major to D minor. Great stuff. It's one of those songs where they didn't necessarily like really stretch the harmonic fabric to the point where it ripped holes in itself, but you know, just kind of shifting from the minor to the parallel, shifting from the minor to the relative major and then back again, using that A7 as a resolution to the D minor is just absolute classic songwriting. Unfortunately, it looks like that's going to be it. Actually, I'm wrong. I'm wrong. I'm always wrong, guys. See, I kind of do this live, right? I make notes occasionally. A lot of times I'll just sit here with the camera going and just kind of do this as it records me. So the chorus, yeah, the chorus is a D minor, B flat, which is the 6, C7, C is the 7, sorry about that, and then A7 is the 5. It does that a whole bunch of times. And then we're going to jump to like the second half of the chorus. Let me see if I can find it here. All right, so we're going to jump into a later chorus. This is the end of the section before the second chorus. It might be the third chorus. I've lost track. But we're rocking a C here. We're going to go from C to G, which is like a plagal cadence. It's a 4-to-1. So we got the C tonality, and then we're going to drop down to G, and you could feel the shift. That was a definite tonal shift to the key of G, and the chord progression here is G, C, and D. The C chord is a sus2 and the D chord is a sus4, which is cool. They're keeping it kind of ambiguous with the sus chords, and it's just so tasty, especially for pop. But let's hear the 1, 4, 5 again. Here's the 1, 1, 4, 5. 1, 4, 5. Then we're throwing E minor as the 6, 6. So we're kind of doing what we did earlier. Up, 4, 5. Now a B7 brings us to E minor as a resolution to the 1, E minor. Then there's A with a C sharp in the bass, down to a C, back to the D. Wow. All right. So what just happened there, guys? Just to recap up to this point, we've basically been in D minor, and then there was a shift to the relative major, F major. But since then, we've actually shifted to G major. We did a 1, 4, 5 in G, and then we did a 1, 4, 5, 6 in G, and then we did a 1, 4, 5 B7 secondary dominant chord into E minor, which is the 6th chord in G. So the B7 is acting as like, are we going to leave the key? No, we're not, right? It's like it throws it out there. We're about to shift tonality, and then it resolves to the 6th chord in G major. So technically we're still in G major. And then after the E minor chord, we get an A, which would kind of be like the 5 of D or D minor. And then it kind of ambiguously, what's really cool about this is the A chord does a C sharp in the bass because it is a major chord, so it has that C sharp as the major third. And then the next chord that follows is a C sus2, so we get that C sharp to C in the bass. That is the link for that movement, because you typically wouldn't go like A major to C sus2 necessarily. I was expecting E minor to A to D minor, but instead we got the E minor to A over C sharp to C, and then eventually the D, and then we're kind of resolving. The outro is in G. We do essentially 1, 6, 4, 5, ending on a sus, ending on a D sus. So let's just give you a little bit of that outro before I get outro. Here's the outro. Again, ready? We got the G is the 1, the 6 in E minor, the 4 in C, and the D sus is the 5. So this song has been actually quite a surprise. When I first looked at this, because I literally just decided to do this, I'm like, this isn't going to be that long of a video. We're at 10 minutes at this point. It's very cool. Again, started off in D minor, modulated to the relative major, F major, and then modulated up a full step to G major. Kind of kept the chord progressions themselves the same, but just changed the key to give it a fresh feel. It's essentially a very intricate pop song. And that's it. I'd like to thank you all for watching. This has been The Hollow Years by Dream Theater. If you're still here, hit that like button and leave a comment, because the fact that you've stayed this long makes me feel amazing. So we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.